Good morning, everybody. I'm Silvia Casorrán, and I've been working for more than 15 years already with sustainable mobility. I'm now the responsible for cycling policies in Barcelona metropolitan area, which is Barcelona and other 35 municipalities around, 3.2 million people. We have many projects in front, and I think it's very interesting also to share them with you. But today I'm here not because of my job, but because of the place where I live, which is called the Poblenou Superblock in Barcelona. It started 2 years ago, and we've been battling a lot to really keep the place as it is now. Well, my presentation will be in three parts. The first one, it's about how the car invasion occupied our streets in the cities during the last century, the last 100 years. The second part, it's about the concept of the superblock in general, and then the third part, it's about our superblock in Poblenou. And I've got my family here. Well, they are here in the picture, but also here downstairs. And my husband, Patrick Kappert, he's Dutch, and he was telling me, you should tell about this and that and then. And then I told him, well, as you are coming to Iceland, then come with me to the stage, and then he will talk about the third part. Maybe we interrupt each other, but we hope we... So if you want to come upstairs later, okay. Well, what can you see at this street, in the middle of the street? People, people. There's one tram, but mainly people. This is one street in Barcelona called Paral·lel. It's a big street. And this picture is from 1900. There were no cars. 100 years ago, there were not cars in Barcelona, there were not cars in Reykjavik, there were not cars anywhere. And this is the same street now. Well, it's not that bad. We've got a cycle lane in the middle, which is some people are very critical about them. But where do we see the pedestrians? Where do we see the people? They are just apart aside to the sidewalks. And so this is, for me, I think the main concept of the main problem of the car invasion in our cities, that the car really puts us away as citizens. It puts us away as pedestrians, and also it puts us away just to stay in the public space and to meet people in the middle of the street that used to be the main place. This is also another street in Barcelona. It's called Gran Via. The red spot, it's where my primary school was, and my secondary school was at the other side. So I had to walk also for a long time, a lot of years, crossing this big road. And come on, this is in the middle of the city, and we still have highways in the middle of Barcelona. This is really crazy, because it's really making a division in two parts of the neighborhood. So it's not possible to really, if you've got a friend at the other side of the street, you really have to walk very far. It's not fair. This is a street somewhere in the States, again, where can walk the pedestrians. The sidewalks are very, very narrow. There are even no trees to give shadows. If you want to cross to the other side, how do you have to walk? I mean, here there's a red light, because red lights exist because of cars. We shouldn't forget about this. I mean, the pedestrians can only cross the street in this safe place, but this is because of cars. 100 years ago, they didn't exist, again. And this image is from Mexico, but it could be from Barcelona some years ago, and it's also somehow from Reykjavik, because as I've seen these bridges, they are nicer and so on. But we say people, okay, pedestrian, walk up and down. If you are in a wheelchair, we don't know. If you are carrying a trolley, well, wherever. But of course, people, what they want to do is going in the more direct way. There's no traffic light, because you are supposed to go up and down. And then what do we do? In Reykjavik, I saw yesterday, in one road like this, you put a barrier in the middle to avoid people to cross, and then people really have to... So this is everywhere in the world. It has been like this. Well, this is... In Barcelona, we've got 300,000 mopeds, and they can park everywhere. They were sold as the solution for the mobility in Barcelona because they occupy less space, they are very fast, and because of course they can park everywhere, also on the sidewalks. Normally we've got like 20 mopeds like this, but here when we only have one, it's also in the middle of the sidewalk. I mean that's very unfair for the pedestrians, which are everyone is a pedestrian in Barcelona, in Reykjavik, and everywhere in the world. And the problem about cars. I've also seen congestion in Reykjavik. You give 2 lanes to cars, they occupy 2 lanes. You give 3 lanes to cars because there's congestion, then they occupy 3 lanes. Cars are like gas, they occupy all the space we give them. So the solution is not like giving more and more capacity. But it's not only about occupying a space, it's also about, of course, pollution, about quality of life, about health. In Spain, 30,000 people are dying earlier than they should because of pollution caused by traffic. In Barcelona, this number is 3,500. Is it much? Is it less? I don't know, but it's a lot of people that are dying in an unfair way. I mean, they could live longer and they could live in better conditions, but they are dying. And they are dying because of the way we move and because of the way politicians make people move. I belong also to another association, it's called Public Transport Promotion, and we do this kind of comparisons, right? At the first line, you see the modal split in Barcelona. So 38% of the people move by public transport, 32% by foot. In Barcelona, we walk a lot. Only 2% by bike. It's increasing. Maybe now it's already getting almost 3%. 5% by motorbike and only 23% by car. So this 23% by car, it's occupying 70% of public space in Barcelona, in the city. And it's also causing, at the line below, you see the accidents. And in total it's 200,000, because always 2 different modes are involved in an accident, right? I don't know if it's... but almost 90% of accidents have cars involved, when only 23% of the trips are made by car, while 75% of the accidents have motorbikes involved, while only 5% of the trips are made by motorbike. So these motorized modes are also causing many accidents, and accidents also have many consequences. And suddenly, 2 years ago, there was this superblock concept implemented in our neighborhood, just down where we live. Now I'm going to talk about the concept of the superblock, and this is how one of our neighbors see this new space. We still have asphalt, but we give the place to the people. This map is Barcelona. It's from the Urban Mobility Plan 2013-2018. Now the new one is being developed, and it's planning the development of 500 superblocks in Barcelona. The red one, the red spot, is where we live, is the one we're going to talk about. And it's this area. It used to be, in 1965, it used to be an industrial area that stayed like this until more than 2000. I think it was in 2000 it was changing. And now we've got this typical Eixample grid. It's like these blocks of between 100 meters with each other, and the roads are 20 meters wide, all of them the same. And from these 20 meters, there are 5 meters sidewalk, 5 meters sidewalk, and then 10 meters for the traffic. And they are all the same in Barcelona, in the Eixample, in this neighborhood. Well, this is the plan for the superblocks in our district, but it's not being very developed for the moment, just our superblock. And this is the basis concept of the superblock. Instead of having, to the left, you see the typical Eixample street. Cars can drive. Normally it's one-way streets because they are more fluent for traffic, of course, and the red lights are easier, and there are also less accidents when it's just one way. And then in the middle of the cross, in the square, there's car parking. So we've got all this big space just for cars. Now, with the superblock concept, we go to the right image. And then we make cars. Cars can enter and can drive freely. I mean, everyone. There's no restriction. But then the cars really have to turn right at the first corner, and then turn right again to the next corner, and then they come back to the first point. So only when you are a neighbor or when you really have to make some goods distribution, you are entering this place. Else, it's not possible to go through. So you escape it. You stay in the perimeter. Then you leave a big place in the middle. You create a new square for people. Just for doing anything here at this image. There's some cinema in the street, but this is the main concept: creating new squares in the middle of the crosses of the streets. That it used to be the place where people met before. So now we've got the current model. No, the previous model. It's all the streets in Barcelona Eixample. It's the same grid. They have the same hierarchy. But then with the superblock model, what we do is we limit the hierarchy to the basic streets. So the traffic through can go only in the perimeter of these blocks, and then inside we leave it for people. In general, we see this is our superblock. As I told you, So when you are driving here, you come here, you turn right again, and then you get here. It's not possible to do like this, also not to do like this. Even, of course, pedestrians can do, and bikes also. And motorbikes, they try to. But now we've got a playground here and a playground there, so we've got important things in the middle of the squares that really don't allow the cars to go through. And, well, this was the first situation 2 years ago, and now we close the traffic here because there's no garage, no parking access, so it was possible to really close it. And we open this street here because you see this is going up and this is going up as well. So we needed some street to go down, especially for the bus, because there's one bus lane coming here. And I'll leave the word to Patrick, and he will tell you about our neighborhood. This is from 2 years ago when it just started. Now it looks different.
Hello. Well, we came home from our holidays, and down in our building block with 88 apartments, there was just one paper saying next Monday we will start with some changes in the way you can drive in the neighborhood because of the Superilla. That was all the information we got. And then this Monday we go down, and then in the four different squares that were made, they put some students in doing things to create some activities in the neighborhood. So in this square they painted the floor, in the other square they did other things. A lot of neighbors, they were really surprised because they were not informed apart from the paper down the block. Some of them, they really had some problems to go to their parking because they had to have a different route to go to their parking. Other people, they were really astonished. And in the television, there was an ambulance saying that he could not go to his patient because of the superblock. He saw the superblock and he was like, I don't know where to go. And then there was the national television of Catalonia. They're having an interview with him, and he said, no, because of the superblock, I cannot go. So there was some criticism. In one of the other square, the students who came to have activities in the squares, they put a very big playground with sand, but they did it with old tires of cars. And when it started raining, the tires get full of water, and then there's that mosquito, the tiger mosquito. So the people were saying, hey, but this is unhealthy, this is not done by the regulation. And then this was the third square. It was a square of the parliament, where the people could discuss the things. They put a wall where people left notes to say, okay, we should do this, we can use the space to do that. And then one night, the politicians came. It was on the end of the first week. And I was there with my note and said, hey, you should have done this, that, that. And then the neighbors came. And then there were a lot of neighbors that said, hey, we don't want this, the super block. And I was like, hey, I want to change some things in the super block. But I really, really like the super block because it's really marvelous. It's really nice to be around in the street and be without the cars. So when the neighbors were against it, were talking about the super block, we noticed that they were very emotional. They were really angry that somebody had the courage to say, hey, with your car here, you're not the boss here anymore. You should leave your car, you should be quiet with the car. If there's a pedestrian, you should stop, and the pedestrian has the priority. And they are really angry, and there were very emotional reactions to the politicians. And then the neighbors who said, okay, we should do this, or can we do that? We looked at each other and we said, hey, maybe we should continue together and make some platform in internet to make proposals to the local government what to do with the space. So we opened a Facebook page where we put together ideas of what to do with the space, and then we started in the end an association of neighbors just for the super block. Because in the beginning they were all talking about tactical urbanism, which is use only paint and some plastic. The plastic is, for example, this was the way the traffic was obliged to turn around. So it's a very cheap way to reorganize the public space. I think the first money they spent was only 20,000 euros, only for painting in instructions, and there was nothing done to the public space because they wanted to ask the local people what to do with the place liberated. And then we already, when there was nothing, it was maybe for 3 or 4 months, because the administration is quite slow in gathering the ideas of the people and in implementing new things. But the open space, it was taken by the neighbors, because Silvia said the cars, they are like gas, they occupy all the space. But parents with young children, they are also like gas. If there's a place where young children can play safely in a street, they come. And we see that the people were occupying the spaces. And we learned to walk in the middle of the street, which was very strange and also a little bit dangerous, because in the other side of the superblock, when the superblock ended, we continued walking in the middle of the street because it was for us really stupid to go back to the sidewalk. And well, it left for us for dangerous things. But then there were also aspects that were strange to experience. For example, we were talking with some neighbors in the middle of the street, and then a car passed by, and we stopped talking. We waited for the car to pass by, and we continued talking. And then one neighbor said, "This is strange because I'm very relaxed always in the super block when I'm talking with the neighbors. And I think it's because in the other streets there are cars, but we keep on talking when there's a car. Here we stop talking. So it means that in the other place and all over Barcelona and all the streets where there are cars everywhere, always, we are screaming. And in the super block we don't like to scream. We are just talking, and when the car passes by, we stop talking because it's annoying to scream. But we are used to scream all the time." So this was one of the insights that where it's strange to be in the middle of the street, but also to have a quiet conversation, like here. There were some activities. The local gym put some of his activities in the street. With the neighbors, we sometimes met in the street to talk about what proposals could we do in the street. And there's a Chinese school in the neighborhood, and they also put part of their classes and their traditional dances and activities outside in the street. So really, without doing anything, just leaving the cars outside of the 4 places created, there were already activities created without anything organized. From Google, we took some of the pictures of how it was before and after. They speak almost for themselves. Here we see that there was a bike track, 2 lanes and 1 lane for parking. And this is how is it now, 1.5 years later. The local government put these trees without putting them in the ground. For me it's still very artificial, because I think they should open the asphalt and put the trees, give them a real place. This is the street that it's open to traffic. So this is more of the most complex points inside, because the cars go quite fast. The area, it's not only people living, there's also a lot of offices. Every day from 11 until 3 o'clock, the banks and the tables are completely filled with people eating, having meetings, and we really think that a lot of people working close to the super block, nowadays they choose going by bike or cars due to the super block, because hey, we cannot park anymore. They provide us with a place without cars, then maybe I should go also to my work by bike or by public transport. It's the same street, but a little bit more after. There was a parking lot here. It's now a public school. It was in the same moment that they changed it. So this is every day completely filled with children. Just outside the superblock, there's a place for elderly people where they live. If the children or their grandsons come by, the normal thing is that they take the grandparents to have a ride in the superblock, because it's quiet there. It's very nice it's comfortable to be in the superblock. Another of the street, and this is what Silvia said before. This is 4 cars waiting in a red light, and then in the superblock, when they implemented it, the first thing they did was stop having any street lights. And I'm also a car driver. We have a car and we park it in the street. And if there's no street light, and it's really strange, it gives liberty to everybody feels free in the superblock. The cars that go in, they go slow, but they don't have to stop because there are no street lights. The bikes, they go a little bit slower because they have to give preference to the walkers, to the pedestrians. But there are no street lights, they don't have to stop. And the pedestrians, they also don't have to stop. So being in the super block, when you get out of the super block, you really are aware of the little space we leave to the pedestrians to cross streets. You look at a big street and you say, hey, I needed permission to cross this street, and they only give me 2 meters and 30 seconds to cross this street. And after that, it's again territory of a machine, and we really have given the public space of our towns to machines. And we forgot that the public space is for meeting and for living and for playing. Well, these are the workers having their lunch. This was one of the streets where the people were driving 70 kilometers an hour, even if it was forbidden, because it was a 6-lane street with very small sidewalks. And now they have the table tennis and some banks. And here is where we have some children parties. This is the same street of the 6 lanes before, but from the other angle. And now we have some activities sometimes for biking there. This was where we took the photo of the first slide, but now it took some time because of all the permissions. They had to put fences because of regulation, but it's a playground for children. And I took a photo of the day they started breaking the asphalt, because I was really thinking that this is the first big moment of a change in thinking about a model where the car is the boss. in the middle of a square making a playground. For me, it was really like a symbolic action to say, hey, this is a change in how we want to have our towns. And it's filled with people every day. Now I give the word back to Silvia.
I think we are in a hurry.
Yes, sorry.
Hey, look.
Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Sorry, because it's in Spanish, I really forgot to translate this. This is about more or less lessons learned from this process. First of all, you have to really inform well the neighbors, even when they are not interested and they are not capable to understand what you are saying. You really have to inform them, because else afterwards, when there wasn't enough information previously, it's really a big political issue and mediatic issue. And of course, change never like. So when you make some intervention like this, you have to be ready to get confrontation. The second one, control the timing. This implementation was coming back from holidays. The schools were about to start the next week. We were also in parties in the neighborhood, so other streets were cutting. So you are changing all the ways to enter the parking, and also some bus stops changed the location, and it was a very bad moment. The third one is tactical urbanism can really generate, can be rejected in the first moment, because Patrick said we didn't have street lights, but the first weeks the street lights were just covered by plastic bags. So people thought, okay, let's take away the plastic bags and then let's come back to the first situation. The fourth one is an empty space is not understandable for. I mean, when you take away cars, even when they are not using all the space because they are just passing by or parking, or even not parking, even not using the space, but we understand that that's the normal situation. But when we put away the cars and we don't use it immediately, the public space, people start complaining. Why did we take away the cars if we are not doing anything with this? This is a desert, and well, this kind of complaints we had. So municipalities should be really aware of really doing something or having something in mind to do with the new public space generated. What else? Also about the perimeter, it's a long discussion, because some neighbors that live in the perimeter can feel less important than the neighbors that are inside the superblock, but afterwards they see that they have the superblock also 50 meters away from their home, so they are all winning, and the traffic is increasing only between 2 and 5% in the perimeter, in our situation. And of course, the social, political, and media battle about the car. I mean, car has meant progress, freedom, status for us and for our previous generations. So it's very difficult to really take away space from the car and give it back to people. But we say yes to Superblock, but all around the world make interventions like this. Also in Reykjavik, we saw yesterday, I don't know, where's Hula? Hula. The name of the street that we passed yesterday. Yeah. So you are also putting away cars from some place and giving it back to people. This is also, there's just pictures from Amsterdam, but also from Santiago de Chile with tactical urbanism. Oh, sorry. Why it's not there? Thank you. Yeah, just pictures from Amsterdam before and afterwards. Amsterdam once more, Santiago de Chile with tactical urbanism. Madrid. In Madrid they started something very similar to our superblock, but just in 50 meters from one street, and they had to go to the previous situation because of the pressure. So in Barcelona we were also looking very much to Madrid. This is in Palma, Mallorca, and well, this image probably you know it, but yeah, one driver is complaining that the rest of the people are taking out of space. But still, the number of cars in Barcelona is increasing. I heard in Reykjavik it's also increasing in Iceland, from Andreas. So still have a lot of work to do. Electric cars won't be the solution, maybe for the cars that really need to be there. Bikes have part of the solution. And I will skip this. And now in the Superblog, I'm living in Barcelona, my 39 years old, and now I can see butterflies in the Superblog, and we see this kind of birds in the city. So for me this is, and also this image of breastfeeding in the middle of the street, it wasn't that usual, and now it's possible. Thank you very much. Tack.